The SS. From Hitler's bodyguards to the most notorious killing machine in history? Have you ever wondered how a force that began simply as Adolf Hitler's personal guards transformed into an organization that unleashed terror across Europe, responsible for some of the most horrific crimes imaginable? Let's delve into this chilling journey, starting from the early days when the SS was just a small group of loyal bodyguards. When we talk about Nazi Germany, we cannot ignore the SS, Schutzstaffel, an organization deeply embedded within the Nazi Party. If Adolf Hitler was the supreme leader of the Nazi Party, the SS was its very soul, a soul of pure evil. The SS, the backbone of power and an instrument of atrocity. The SS was considered the backbone of the Nazi Party's power structure, a breeding ground for the brutality that sustained its grip, and the primary tool Hitler used to commit crimes against humanity during World War II. The chief architect of the SS was none other than Heinrich Himmler, a cold-blooded and ruthless monster, and Hitler's indispensable aide in nearly all the insidious political plots to seize power. The story of the SS is a long tale steeped in guilt and the atrocities it unleashed during World War II, which we will now detail. The early formation of the SS. In 1923, the Nazi Party, led by Adolf Hitler, established a small volunteer guard unit, initially called the All Schutz, Hall Security, to ensure security at their meetings in Munich. In the same year, Hitler also created a small bodyguard unit specifically for his personal protection. He wanted this unit to be distinct from the suspicious masses within the party, including the paramilitary Sturmabteilungs, SA, stormtroopers whom he distrusted. This new formation was designated the Stabswache, Staff Guard. Initially, this unit comprised only 8 men, led by Julius Schreck and Joseph Berchtold, and was modeled after the Marine Brigade Erhard, a contemporary Freikorps unit. Later, the unit was renamed the Stoßtrupp Shock Troop in May 1923. However, this shock troop unit was disbanded after the failed Beer Hall Putsch in 1923, an attempt by the Nazi Party to seize power in Munich. Renaming and formal establishment. In 1925, Hitler ordered Julius Schreck to organize a new bodyguard unit, named the Schutzkommando, Protection Command. This unit was tasked with Hitler's personal protection at party events. In the same year, the Protection Command was expanded into a national organization and renamed the Sturmstaffel, Storm Squadron. Finally, the last renaming led to its official designation, Schutzstaffel, SS. The SS officially marked its establishment on November 9, 1925, coinciding with the second anniversary of the Beer Hall Putsch, led by Adolf Hitler. The new SS organization's function was to protect party leaders across Germany. Hitler's personal SS bodyguard unit was later expanded to include combat units alongside the regular army. Early leaders in Himmler's turning point. Julius Schreck, a founding member of the SA and a close confidant of Hitler, became the first SS leader in May 1925. On April 15, 1926, Joseph Berchtold succeeded him as SS leader. Berchtold renamed this leadership position Reichsführer SS, Reich leader of the SS. Berchtold was considered more dynamic than his predecessor, but grew increasingly frustrated with the SA's authority over the SS. This led him to transfer the SS leadership to his deputy, Erhard Haydn, on March 1, 1927. Under Haydn's leadership, a stricter code of discipline was enforced within the SS, setting a higher standard than the SA could accept. Between 1925 and 1929, the SS was considered a small subunit of the SA. Except for the Munich area, the SS failed to maintain any membership momentum. Its numbers dropped from 1,000 to 280, while the SA continued to grow rapidly. Heinrich Himmler, the architect of expansion. As Haydn struggled to prevent the SS from dissolving, Heinrich Himmler became his deputy in September 1927. Himmler demonstrated superior organizational skills compared to Haydn. The SS subsequently established more units in various other regions and provinces. Later, with Hitler's approval, Heinrich Himmler assumed the position of Reichsführer SS in January 1929. Under Himmler, the SS expanded and gained a stronger foothold. He saw the SS as an elite organization driven by Nazi ideology, a fusion of the Teutonic Knights, the Jesuits, and the Japanese samurai spirit. His ultimate goal was to transform the SS into the most powerful organization in Germany and the most influential branch of the party. He expanded the SS to 3,000 members in his first year as leader. Although officially still considered a subordinate organization of the SA and accountable to the SA Chief of Staff, it was also during this period that Himmler began establishing the SS's independence from the SA. The SS grew in size and power due to its absolute loyalty to Hitler, in contrast to the SA, which was seen as semi-independent and a potential threat to Hitler's supremacy within the party. The SS, unlimited power and strict control. Under Himmler's leadership, the SS continued to seize more power as an increasing number of state and party functions were placed under its authority. Over time, the SS became accountable solely to Hitler, a typical development in the organizational structure of the entire Nazi regime, where legal norms were replaced by actions executed according to the Führerprinzip, leader principle, and Hitler's will was considered above the law. In the second half of 1934, Himmler oversaw the establishment of the SS Junkerschulen, SS officer candidate schools, where SS candidates received leadership training, political and ideological education, and military training. The curriculum emphasized ruthlessness and toughness as part of the SS's core values, selection standards, and destructive ideology. The SS was considered the elite unit of the Nazi Party. In adherence to Nazi racial policy, in its early days, all SS candidates had to provide proof of Aryan ancestry dating back to 1750, and for other ranks, to 1800. Other requirements included absolute loyalty to the Führer Adolf Hitler and an unwavering commitment to the German people and nation. Adherence to SS ideology was emphasized throughout recruitment, training, and membership. SS members were indoctrinated with Nazi racial policy and taught that it was necessary to expel from Germany those deemed inferior by that policy. Furthermore, esoteric rituals and the ceremonial awarding of uniforms and insignias at milestones in an SS man's career further imbued SS members with Nazi ideology. In 1936, Himmler wrote in his pamphlet, "The SS as an anti-Bolshevik fighting organization," that "we will ensure that never again in Germany, the heart of Europe, can the Jewish Bolshevik revolution of subhumans be ignited from within or through emissaries from outside." SS ideology embraced the application of brutality and terror as a solution to military and political problems. The SS emphasized absolute loyalty and obedience to orders unto death. Hitler utilized this as a powerful tool to advance his and the Nazi Party's goals. Consequently, the SS was tasked with committing war crimes, such as the murder of Jewish civilians. Himmler once wrote that an SS man must not hesitate for a moment to carry out an assignment without questioning any order from the Führer Adolf Hitler. Their official motto and creed was, "My honor is loyalty. Meine Ehre heißt Treue." The SS and the Holocaust, crimes against humanity. As part of the Nazi Party's race-centric functions during World War II, the SS oversaw the isolation and displacement of Jews from civilian communities in conquered territories, confiscating their property and deporting them to concentration camps and ghettos, where they were used as slave laborers or immediately murdered. Chosen to implement Hitler's final solution, The SS was the primary group responsible for the systematic murder and extermination of over 6 million people during the Holocaust. The SS was also involved in the killing of those deemed a threat to Nazi racial hygiene policies or ideology, including the mentally or physically disabled, homosexuals, and political dissidents, members of trade unions, and those considered linked to anti-regime groups, religious, political, social, and other groups, or those holding views contrary to the Nazi regime's goals, were arrested in large numbers, including clergy of all faiths. The SS, a police state. Within the regime, after Hitler and the Nazi Party rose to power on January 30th, 1933, the SS was considered a state organization and a branch of the government. Law enforcement gradually fell within the SS's purview, and many SS organizations became government agencies. In effect, the SS established a police state within Nazi Germany, using the secret police and security forces under its control to suppress those who dissented from Hitler. In his role as Minister-President of Prussia, Hermann Göring established the Prussian secret police in 1933, also known as the Gestapo, and appointed Rudolf Diels as its head. Fearing that Diels was not ruthless enough to effectively use the Gestapo against the SA's power, Göring eventually transferred control to Himmler on April 20th, 1934. Also on that day, in a departure from the long-standing German practice that law enforcement was a state and local matter, Hitler appointed Himmler as the head of all German police organizations outside Prussia. Himmler then appointed his deputy and protege, Reinhard Heydrich, another beast of cruelty, as the head of the Gestapo. Heydrich also continued to serve as the head of the Sicherheitsdienst, ASD, security service. The transfer of the Gestapo to Himmler was the prelude to the Night of the Long Knives, in which most of the SA leaders were arrested and subsequently executed, an act of vendetta and power struggle within the Nazi Party. The SS and Gestapo became Hitler's for carrying out most of the killings. SS independence and absolute power. On July 20th, 1934, Hitler separated the SS from the SA, which was no longer an influential force after the purge. Afterward, the SS became an elite corps of the Nazi Party, answerable only to Hitler. Himmler's title of Reichsführer SS now became his powerful rank and the highest rank within the SS. It was equivalent to the rank of Field Marshal in the army. As Himmler's position and power grew, his actual rank and influence also increased. On June 17, 1936, all police forces across Germany were unified under the administration of Himmler and the SS. By now, Himmler and his close disciple Heydrich had become two of the most powerful men in the country's government. The police and intelligence forces under their administrative control included the Security Service, NSD, the Secret State Police, Gestapo, the Criminal Police, Kripo, and the Regular Uniformed Police, ORPO. As Chief of Police, Himmler was nominally subordinate to Minister of the Interior, Wilhelm Frick. In practice, however, since the SS answered only to Hitler, the incorporation of the police into the SS rendered the police independent of Frick's control. In September 1939, the security and police agencies were consolidated into the Reich Security Main Office, RSHA, headed by Reinhard Heydrich. This further increased the SS organization's collective authority. During Kristallnacht, Night of Broken Glass, in November 1938, SS security agencies secretly and insidiously coordinated against Jews. The SS, Gestapo, SD, Kripo, SIPO, security police, and regular police did everything possible to ensure that while Jewish synagogues and community centers were destroyed, Jewish-owned businesses and homes remained intact so that they could later be confiscated and plundered. Ultimately, thousands of Jewish businesses, homes and cemeteries were deliberately vandalized and looted. This marked the beginning of the SS state's campaign of terror against political and religious opponents, whom they imprisoned without trial or judicial oversight for security, re-education, or preventive purposes. In September 1939, the SS's authority was further expanded when the senior SS leader in each military district also became the police chief of that district.
The SS and the concentration camp system. The SS was also closely involved with the Nazi concentration camp system. On June 26, 1933, Himmler appointed Theodor Eicke as commandant of Dachau concentration camp, one of the first Nazi concentration camps. As World War II progressed, the SS consolidated into its final form, comprising three main organizations: the Allgemeine SS, General SS, the Totenkopfverbände, Death's Head Units, and the Waffen-SS, Armed SS. The Waffen-SS evolved into Germany's Second Army alongside the regular army and operated in parallel with them. During the war, Himmler intensified the activities of SS organizations within Germany and in Nazi-occupied Europe. More and more Jews and German citizens deemed political suspects or asocials were arrested. As the Nazi regime became more oppressive, the concentration camp system expanded in size and lethal operations, and broadened in scope as the SS's economic ambitions grew. The intensification of killing operations occurred in late 1941, when the SS began constructing fixed gas facilities to replace the use of Einsatzgruppen, mobile killing squads, for mass murders. Victims at these new extermination camps were killed using carbon monoxide gas from automobile engines. By the end of the war, hundreds of camps of varying sizes and functions had been established, holding nearly 715,000 people. Most of them were targets of the racial discrimination regime. The concentration camp population grew as the Nazi regime suffered defeats. The worse the disaster, the greater the fear of overthrow, which prompted the SS to intensify repression and terror. Fall and aftermath. After the collapse of Nazi Germany, the SS organization was officially abolished. However, many SS members, many of whom remained committed Nazis, evaded justice in Germany and throughout Europe. On May 21, 1945, British forces captured Heinrich Himmler, who was in disguise and carrying a fake passport in an attempt to escape as Berlin fell. While held at a detention camp near Nuremberg, he committed suicide by biting into a cyanide capsule hidden in his tooth. Several other leading members of the SS escaped, but some were quickly apprehended. Ernst Kaltenbrunner, director of the Reich Security Main Office and the highest-ranking surviving SS official after Himmler's suicide, was arrested in the Bavarian Alps. He was one of 22 defendants brought to trial before the International Military Tribunal in 1945 and 1946. The Allied powers began legal proceedings against captured Nazis and established the International Military Tribunal at Nuremberg in 1945. The first war crimes trial for prominent figures such as Hermann Göring, Albert Speer, Joachim von Ribbentrop, Alfred Rosenberg, Hans Frank, and Kaltenbrunner began in November 1945. This group was charged with 4 main counts: conspiracy, waging aggressive war, war crimes, and crimes against humanity, violating international law. 12 individuals were sentenced to death, including Kaltenbrunner, who was convicted of crimes against humanity and executed on October 16, 1946. Former Auschwitz Commandant Rudolf Höss, who testified on behalf of Kaltenbrunner and others, was tried and executed in 1947. Subsequent trials and sentences for SS members followed. Many defendants attempted to justify themselves by claiming they were only following orders from superiors, which they had to obey unconditionally as part of their oath and duty. The court did not accept this as a legal defense. A trial of 40 SS officers and guards from Auschwitz took place in Krakow in November 1947. Most of these individuals were convicted, and 23 were executed. 12 subsequent Nuremberg trials took place from 1946 to 1949. Additionally, an estimated 37,000 SS members were tried and convicted in Soviet courts. Sentences included hanging and long-term hard labor. Piotr Tsivinsky, director of the Auschwitz-Birkenau Museum, estimated that out of 70,000 SS members involved in crimes at concentration camps, only about 1,700 were prosecuted after the war. Later, the International Military Tribunal declared the SS an outlawed criminal organization in 1946.